Observe the rain as it falls on a quiet Tuesday afternoon, washing over the cracked asphalt of the city. You are sitting in the driver's seat of your 2017 Toyota Camry, the engine humming a low, steady rhythm. Through the windshield, blurred by the rhythmic sweeping of the wipers, you watch a mesmerizing biological process unfold. Strangers drive their metal shells into a concrete bay, seeking to cleanse themselves of the urban grime. It looks like a simple, dirty chore to the untrained eye, merely a place of soap and runoff. But what you are actually witnessing is something far more profound, something that most people misunderstand their entire lives. You might think this is just a story about washing cars or exchanging time for a meager wage. You are not alone if you have spent years believing that true power in this concrete jungle roars like a leased luxury engine. We are conditioned to fear the shadows, to despise the unglamorous corners of our habitat, and to worship the glittering apex predators of the corporate world. But the reality you are about to discover is completely different, and it challenges everything you know about survival. What if the most successful organism in this ecosystem is the one nobody even notices? The answer lies hidden in the silver coins dropping into a metal slot, though the truth is much stranger than it appears. In the wild, camouflage is a matter of life and death, a biological necessity for those who wish to thrive undisturbed. You have mastered this art perfectly, maintaining a 9-to-5 job that serves as your brilliant disguise. While your colleagues in the office herd graze on artificial lighting and complain bitterly about a meager 3% annual raise, your hidden life breathes in silence. They view wealth as a peacock displaying its feathers, a loud performance meant to intimidate rivals and attract mates. You, however, understand that true wealth is a silent, subterranean root system, feeding you nutrients while the surface remains remarkably unremarkable. But this is only a fraction of the story, as the real magic happens when the sun goes down. Consider the self-serve car wash not as a piece of real estate, but as a living, breathing biological security system. The concrete bays are its open mouths, the high-pressure hoses its veins, and the soapy runoff its digestive tract. Every day, a dedicated night shift of ordinary people arrives to feed this organism, unknowingly sustaining the silent ecosystem you have built. You purchased this misunderstood creature for $85,000, a sum that many would foolishly spend on a depreciating status symbol. Now, it stands as an apex survivor, an entity that processes the dirt of the world and transforms it into pure, sustaining energy. Before you pull out the proverbial slipper to squash this blue-collar reality, look a little closer at what it actually consumes. It consumes silver metal, small disks of energy that most people toss into jars and forget about entirely. $14,000 a month, gathered quarter by quarter, flows into your life with the quiet inevitability of a rising tide. This is not the loud, aggressive hunt of a corporate takeover, but the patient, methodical web-spinning of a master architect. Like a spider waiting in the corner of a room, you do not chase your prey. You simply build a flawless structure and let the environment do the rest. The water flows, the quarters drop, the machinery hums its eternal song, and your financial pulse beats stronger every single day. Perhaps you are sitting there thinking, why should I care about some damp concrete and a bucket of coins? That is a very fair question, especially if you have been trained to chase the sterile, artificial lights of corporate success. We humans have a strange, deeply ingrained habit of judging the value of a territory by how shiny it appears on the surface. But let me ask you a rather direct, perhaps uncomfortable question about the habitat you currently occupy. How many precious hours of your short lifespan have you traded for a fragile corporate title that could be erased tomorrow with one indifferent email? Are you exhausting your life energy trying to impress a flock that does not care about you, while ignoring the unglamorous, silent systems that actually offer freedom? Feel free to share your defense of the corporate grind in the comments below, because it is absolutely fascinating how we justify our own invisible cages. We often pull out the proverbial slipper to squash the things that look dirty, mundane, or entirely unglamorous. We recoil from the damp smell of a car wash, the greasy coins, the muddy grates, completely missing the elegant biological function at play. But this grime is the very foundation of your hidden sanctuary, the fertile soil from which your absolute autonomy grows. Those silver quarters are the ultimate biological defense mechanism, a shield that protects you from the predators of the modern economy. While the herd panics over inflation and layoffs, Your quiet organism simply continues to digest the endless stream of dirty vehicles. The truth is much more fascinating when you realize that dirt is merely misplaced resources waiting to be harvested. Let us observe the behavior of the common corporate employee, an organism tightly bound by the rules of its artificial environment. Every morning at 9 o'clock, they migrate in massive herds, moving slowly along congested asphalt arteries toward their towering glass hives. They are driven by an acute fear of starvation, a psychological terror of losing the approval of the alpha figures in their hierarchy. You migrate with them, disguised in the same unremarkable plumage, sipping the same bitter coffee, nodding at the same empty rituals. But internally, your biology has fundamentally mutated, severing the nerve that connects corporate approval to your basic sense of survival. You are no longer prey. You are a symbiotic observer, sitting comfortably inside a machine you no longer depend upon. The friction between these two worlds creates a beautiful, silent drama that only you can perceive. At exactly 10 minutes past 2 on a Wednesday, your manager might criticize your lack of visible ambition, noting your calm detachment. You nod politely, playing the role of the docile herbivore, while your smartphone vibrates with a silent notification of deposited funds. In that exact moment, someone across town has just fed another $10 into your concrete organism, securing your absolute freedom. This quiet paradox is the ultimate form of evolution, a survival strategy that outsmarts the loudest competitors by refusing to play their game. The truth always remains hidden from those who lack the patience to observe the subtle rhythms of the undergrowth. It is a common misconception that acquiring vast resources must fundamentally change the visible behavior of the creature. We expect the newly powerful to roar, to claim the highest rock, to beat their chests so the entire jungle takes notice. But the most sophisticated predators in our modern ecosystem know that visibility is synonymous with vulnerability. To be seen as wealthy is to become a target for every parasite, every scavenger, every opportunistic predator seeking a free meal. Your 2017 Toyota Camry is not a sign of failure, but rather an impenetrable shell, a perfect evolutionary adaptation. It allows you to move through the environment completely undisturbed, a ghost in the machine of modern consumption. Think about the immense psychological relief of no longer needing to perform for the approval of the surrounding flock, the heavy burden of status anxiety, a disease that plagues so many modern humans, simply evaporates in the humid air of your car wash. You watch a colleague stretch their finances to the breaking point, leasing a luxury vehicle just to signal their worth to strangers. Meanwhile, you own the very ground upon which they stand to wash their expensive, depreciating illusions of grandeur. The contrast is as stark as the difference between a fragile, exotic orchid and a deeply rooted, indestructible oak tree. One requires constant, anxious maintenance, while the other draws silent power from the earth, indifferent to the shifting winds. The architecture of this silent wealth is a masterpiece of natural selection, favoring those who understand the true flow of energy. By embracing the unglamorous, you have unlocked a level of peace that no corporate promotion could ever possibly provide. If this biological truth about the nature of hidden capital has surprised you or shifted your perspective, please subscribe to our channel. Together, we will continue to uncover these hidden ecosystems, restoring justice to the quiet, misunderstood forces that shape our world. There is so much more to explore beneath the surface, far away from the noisy distractions of the artificial canopy, and the deeper we look, the more we realize that the most powerful entities rarely make a sound. Let us delve deeper into the anatomy of the car wash itself, a creature of cinder block, high-pressure hoses, and industrial soap. To the average passerby, it is a lifeless structure, a mundane background element of the suburban landscape. But biologically speaking, it is a highly efficient trap, designed to capture a specific recurring need within the human population. Every speck of dust, every splash of winter mud, every layer of pollen acts as an environmental trigger, driving the hosts toward your creation. They arrive reliably, compelled by their own instinct for cleanliness, bringing with them the silver and paper nutrients your system requires. It is a perfect closed loop, an ecosystem that feeds itself while you sleep, completely independent of your physical presence. The maintenance of this creature is an intimate, quiet ritual that connects you to the raw mechanics of your own survival. You arrive late in the evening, when the herd has retreated to their glowing screens, to empty the metal stomachs of the machines. The heavy metallic clinking of thousands of quarters pouring into a canvas bag is the authentic sound of your liberation. It is heavy, physical work, hands stained with the grease of the machinery, shoes damp from the residual runoff. Yet, this grime is profoundly purifying, washing away the sterile, synthetic stress of the 9-to-5 corporate pantomime. You are not a manager pushing theoretical numbers on a screen. You are a caretaker of a living, providing organism. You are definitely not alone if you have ever felt a deep, instinctive repulsion toward businesses that require you to get your hands dirty. Society has spent decades cultivating a profound phobia of manual labor, convincing us that success only exists in air-conditioned glass towers. We are taught to fear the mop, to despise the wrench, to look down upon the very tools that maintain the fabric of our civilization. But this cultural programming is merely a mechanism to keep the masses competing for artificial prestige while ignoring the foundational architecture of wealth. By stepping into the damp, soapy reality of the car wash, you have cured yourself of this debilitating social virus. You have embraced the beautiful, resilient truth that true independence is often found in the places everyone else is too proud to look. Consider the phenomenon of the rain, a natural event that usually disrupts the daily routines of the human population. For the corporate worker, a rainy Tuesday is a dreary inconvenience, an obstacle that dampens their commute and darkens their mood. But for the silent owner of the concrete ecosystem, the rain is an essential phase of the harvesting cycle, a prerequisite for growth. The rain covers the city in a fine layer of grime, practically guaranteeing a massive migration toward your cleansing bays once the sun returns. You sit in your modest vehicle, watching the droplets hit the windshield, calculating the inevitable surge in caloric intake for your business. The weather is no longer an inconvenience. It is a reliable business partner, a force of nature working exclusively in your favor. The psychological armor provided by $14,000 a month in silent revenue is nearly impossible for the uninitiated to comprehend. It changes the very chemistry of your brain, lowering your cortisol levels and replacing chronic anxiety with a deep, oceanic calm. When a crisis strikes the office, when rumors of layoffs ripple through the cubicles like a panic in a herd of gazelles, your pulse remains steady. You observe the frantic scrambling with profound empathy, understanding their terror because you once lived within that exact same fragile reality. But you cannot save them. Nor should you try to reveal the secret path you have taken to escape the enclosure. The camouflage must remain intact, for the silent owner thrives only as long as the rest of the world looks the other way. This brings us to the profound realization about the true nature of freedom in a highly structured, predatory environment. Freedom is not the ability to loudly declare your independence, nor is it the capacity to purchase expensive, gleaming artifacts for public display. Absolute freedom is the privilege of being completely underestimated, of walking through a crowded room without triggering a single envious glance. It is the ability to absorb the condescension of a foolish manager, knowing that your monthly passive intake dwarfs their annual salary. The car wash, with its endless cycles of soap and water, has not just cleansed the vehicles, it has cleansed your ego. It has stripped away the toxic need for validation, leaving behind a resilient, unbreakable core of quiet confidence. There is an undeniable poetry in the mechanics of the coin-operated machines, a rhythm that mimics the heartbeat of a healthy ecosystem. Every quarter is a tiny, physical manifestation of someone else's labor, willingly surrendered in exchange for a brief moment of utility. These microtransactions, individually insignificant, pool together to form a mighty river of capital that carves out your financial Grand Canyon. This is the magic of compound energy, the biological principle that allows tiny, consistent efforts to build monumental, enduring structures over time. You do not need to hunt large, dangerous prey to survive. You simply need to position yourself where the nutrients naturally flow. The sheer elegance of this strategy is often invisible to those who are blinded by the pursuit of massive, immediate gains. Let us return to the image of you sitting in the 2017 Toyota Camry, watching the rain fall on the concrete. The car itself is a marvel of evolutionary camouflage, a vehicle so profoundly average that it practically bends light to become invisible. It does not demand attention, it does not provoke challenge, It simply performs its function with the quiet reliability of a loyal beast of burden. To the outside observer, the driver of this car is just another cog in the vast, churning machine of the urban economy. But beneath that dull exterior lies a mind that has decoded the matrix, a strategist who has secured a permanent place outside the enclosure. You are the ultimate survivor, the apex organism hiding in plain sight, fueled by the endless, unglamorous cycles of the natural world. As the seasons change and the harsh winter approaches, the biology of the car wash ecosystem adapts with remarkable resilience. The freezing temperatures bring a new kind of environmental stress, coating the vehicles in a thick, corrosive layer of road salt and slush. This is the moment when the fragile, artificial businesses of the modern world often struggle, their operations disrupted by the shifting climate. But your concrete organism thrives in this adversity, its heated bays radiating warmth, drawing the desperate herd out of the freezing cold. The demand for your biological filter skyrockets, proving that the most enduring structures are those that solve fundamental, inescapable physical problems. The winter is not a threat to your survival. It is a season of harvest, a time of unprecedented caloric intake for your silent system. Consider the remarkable loyalty of the automated machinery, the silent workers that never complain, never unionize, and never demand a promotion. They are the ultimate symbiotic partners, dedicating their entire existence to the singular task of dispensing soap and pressurized water. When a valve fails or a hose bursts, it is not a corporate crisis requiring endless meetings and political maneuvering. It is simply a biological rupture that you, the caretaker, must heal with your own hands, a wrench, and a few spare parts. This direct, tactile connection to the source of your wealth is profoundly grounding, eliminating the abstract, anxiety-inducing layers of the corporate world. You fix the machine feeds the ecosystem, and the ecosystem protects your absolute sovereignty in a chaotic universe. There is a strange, almost hypnotic trance that occurs when you empty the coin vaults in the dead of the night. The sensory experience is overwhelming, focusing on the metallic scent of copper and nickel, the heavy, satisfying weight of the canvas sacks, the rhythmic clatter of wealth. It is a primal sensation, akin to an early human gathering a massive harvest of berries and nuts before the long winter sets in. In these quiet, solitary moments, completely detached from the judgmental gaze of the office flock, you realize the absolute absurdity of social status. Why would anyone trade this tangible, heavy reality for a fragile title on a digital profile or a leased symbol of artificial dominance? The quiet millionaire does not need to perform for an audience, because the sheer weight of their gathered resources provides all the validation necessary. We must also address the fascinating psychological phenomenon of the invisible boundary that separates you from your unsuspecting colleagues. Every day, you cross this boundary when you walk through the glass doors of your 9-to-5 job, seamlessly switching your biological frequency. You listen to their complaints about the price of groceries, their anxieties about the housing market, their desperate hopes for a minor annual bonus. You offer sympathetic nods and carefully constructed words of encouragement, playing your part in the social grooming rituals of the primate troop. But your empathy is detached, the calm observation of a scientist watching a struggle from behind a thick pane of protective glass. You are immune to their specific terrors, shielded by the $14,000 that quietly materializes in your accounts, month after month. The ultimate realization, the true philosophical core of this entire biological strategy, is that peace is fundamentally an act of subtraction. The modern world insists that happiness requires constant addition, demanding more attention, more luxury, more visible markers of success to display to the tribe. But the architecture of stealth wealth relies on stripping away everything that attracts the hungry, envious eyes of the surrounding predators. By embracing the damp, unglamorous reality of the concrete washing bays, you have subtracted the toxic need for external validation from your life. You have built a fortress of profound silence, a self-sustaining ecosystem that allows you to simply exist on your own terms. And the next time you drop a coin into a machine, you will finally understand the magnificent, hidden truth of who really rules the concrete jungle.